Divine Set 10 has finally been released, and while everyone likes to do those top 10 decks from the set for these new releases, I always gotta do something different. So today we're gonna take a look at the top 8 cards with good art but bad effects in Drag Soul Resonance. First things first, here we have this card here from Lyrical Monasterio. As you probably could already tell just from the uniform, this is a cute girl that looks kind of like a dog, and I guess that's what they're going for with the ears and the tail here. She is a war beast, of course, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the framing, but it might just be the color combination between her hair and like the actual light blue from the Lyrical summer uniform that I really like. But this is Sun-Kissed Sparkler Penel, who's a grade 1 that is one of the many cyclers we got in this set. This one just says that when it's placed on Guardian, if it's the third battle of this turn, specifically the third one, she gets an additional 10k shield, making her 15k, which is like fine. The problem with these cards is that usually the cyclers have these very specific requirements. Granted, in this set, there isn't that many bad cards, and there aren't that many bad cyclers either. They're just not that good either, right? So if it was like, if this is the third battle or more, or something like that, or if something even simpler like your Vanguard was hit, that would be nice. But they all have the same usual problem, is that they barely do enough, and they only do that one thing, right? This only just gets 10k shield, and that's it. She doesn't like do any other thing. But cute art. Then, speaking of cute art, we have this girl here, who I don't know. Again, I think it's maybe I just like the summer Lyrical uniform, just because the other one is just so drab and boring. I don't know if it's the winter one or if it's the which is really confusing, because this set did come out in summer, right, for the Japanese release, but we're getting it basically in fall. So it's a little bit confusing seeing all these summer arts. But yeah, the like mismatch of colors, or match of colors looks kind of nice. But this is Step Up Together Ractine, who is a grade 1, and she is actually for Tia support, because she has the friends keyword, so whenever her and another unit in the same column become friends. In addition to that, when this rearguards attacks, or rather when the rearguard rearguards attack this unit boosted hits, if you have 3 or more other friends, you may return the boosted unit to hand. So in theory, this isn't bad. And I don't know Fortia well enough to even know if I can count this as a bad card, but in theory this is basically a cheap Eureka, because it just bounces whatever boosted back to hand. However, you have to of course have the attack hit, which is really the most damaging part. It has the same requirement of being boosted like Eureka, but the attack has to hit, which kind of sucks. So your opponent can very easily deny that. It's not very consistent. But on top of that, you also have to have 3 or more friends, which isn't like horrible, right? I might actually, maybe this isn't so bad, but the way friends work is that, you know, everything in the same column becomes friends. This one unfortunately has the wording of 3 or more other friends, so it basically means that she herself does not count. A lot of the friends card, I think, count themselves towards the effect, so it's not really that bad, right? Because the number is a lot less than you need. But for this, you have to have basically her, any other unit, right? It doesn't have to have the friend keyword. They both become friends. But for her effect, it only counts as 1 friend, the way I'm reading this. And then you need a whole other column with essentially another copy of her, or another card that enables friends, and then a card in that same column as well, right? So it's kind of a lot. It's kind of like the same requirement as Friendship Pink to bounce something almost, because you need to have that many units. Except, you know, you don't have to have as many requirements compounded. So I don't feel like this is a very good card, but again, there's not really a lot of bad cards in this set. But yeah, this one is not the best. Next up, we've got this fella here, who has some pretty cool looking armor here. We have a lot of knights, I guess. Not that that's really anything different for Cardfight Vanguard, right? It's usually just knights, dragons, and girls, I guess, right? That's really the OMO for the entire game, but pretty cool looking dude, pretty cool looking spear, nice little pose coming in, right? Looks like something that would have looked pretty cool, especially in like triple rare foiling or something like that. And the fact that the text box is so small also makes you appreciate the art a little bit more. But this is Knight of Glorious Presence Emerus, who's a grade 1 for Keter that just says when your unit with 2 crit or more attacks, retire this unit, and that unit gets 5k to the end of the turn. And that's kind of it. So it started out kind of interesting, where if your unit has 2 crit or more, it doesn't really matter how it gets to crit. It doesn't specify like if it's from a critical trigger or has to be from an effect or anything like that. So that makes it a little bit more the effect to go off. But you already go through the hurdles of getting your unit a crit, which, you know, getting an additional crit on a unit, which isn't like super consistent. I don't know if there's any decks in Keter that can instantly give something a crit, right? I know there's a lot of decks that give drive, but I don't think you can instantly give something a crit aside from the Vanguard. So maybe that's fine, but to basically retire your unit just to give your Vanguard 5k, it doesn't seem like super great, right? So had this gone to Soul, that would have been kind of nice, right? That you can maybe play around with that, but to just retire something to give it 5k. Next up, we have ourselves here another knight. The previous knight was maybe something akin more to like a gold paladin. Now we have something akin more to a shadow paladin, right? With all of the dark and the blue and the red, right? Looking basically like Blaster Dark Revenger up in here, just with glasses. So it's just like some Blaster Dark Revenger cosplayer or something like that that just had to take off the helmet because it was too hot at the con that they were at. But this is the Knight of Implicity Ebon here. So this is a grade 3 for Keter. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked while being boosted. Put another normal unit in the same column as this unit on the bottom of the deck. Look at the top card of the deck and put it on the top or bottom of your deck. So putting aside from the fact that Keter has endless amounts of cards that look at the top card and like manipulate it in some sort of way, either generic or within archetype, there's the fact that it's a grade 3 that doesn't get any power or do anything, right? So it's just a grade 3 that sits in your front line, can't intercept. Doesn't give you shield in hand, right? So it has all those obvious downsides. Doesn't have any of the upsides of it being a grade 3, right? Aside from being 13k. Then you have to boost it with another unit. That other unit has to be a normal unit. You can't bot deck this grade 3, so for whatever reason, I don't know, you're playing Bastion and you need to put a grade 3 back into the deck. You can't bot deck him because he says another normal unit in the same column. And it has to be a normal unit, so you can't bot deck a trigger, which would have been really cool. Like, I don't think that would have still made it see play, right? If this said bot deck a unit, if you boosted with the over trigger to put that on the bottom of your deck, or put back heals or something like that, because it's extremely slow way to put triggers back, right? I don't think it really would have been insane. And like, I don't think it still would have seen any play where people actually would have fit this into the deck. But the fact that it just returns normal units, the only thing I see this working for, honestly, but it has to be boosted. So never mind. I was thinking something like Thegria, right? Maybe Thegria could use this because of the fact that you can put back like, I don't know, one of the Thegria forms. I was just thinking like how the new Kratos Epic Cross Rides, you have the Skip Rider, but if you don't have the Skip Rider in deck, you can't use it. So I was thinking maybe something like that, but like that doesn't even apply in this situation. So I can't really think of any off the top of my head, any normal units you really want to put on the bottom of your deck. So this is kind of not great. Then next up, we have this card here. We've gotten a lot of cards sort of recently in Brankgate, which have sort of embodied more of the like Nova Grappler part of Brankgate, where it's essentially just a bunch of like wrestlers, which I found really cool, specifically like female wrestlers. There's a card from set 9, I think it was, that I actually want to do a video on because I want to try and make her see some play, but we've seen a lot of those. I'd really like to see a deck or something like that themed around them. I think that'd be really cool, but that's probably just because I really like that as a theme. But this is Pouncing Arnabaya, who's a grade 3 for Brand Game, and it's another one of the cyclers for this set. I try not to pick as many of these because, you know, usually these cyclers aren't that great, but this one is like okay. Just as if your damage zone has 4 more cards, this becomes 10k attack and 10k shield. So it's kind of similar to some of the other cards that we got. The grade 3s from Festival Collection 2023, where it was like if your opponent has checked the trigger, this gets an extra 10k shield or whatever. So it's kind of similar to that. Technically, this can be active, more active than that, a little bit more reliable. So these aren't like horrible. I just, again, it's the same usual thing with these cyclers, right? They only do one thing, and the one thing they do isn't that great. So there's not really a need to play this per se, aside from like the usual like budget restrictions or something like that, right? So, cool art. Wish it did a tiny bit more. Then we've got ourselves this very cute Pale Moon inspired card here. Really like the mix of colors here with the green and red. Usually not a big fan of those colors if I'm being honest, but it looks really, really nice here. This is the Astound Hoop Dancer. So this was actually revealed along with the barrel support for this set. So I don't know if they're trying to imply that I should be playing this in barrel, but this is a grade 2 for Dark Saints that says when this intercepts, if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, you still charge 1 and she gets 5k shield to the end of the battle. So this isn't like abysmal, but it's just, again, does one thing, not super good at it, so it doesn't really warrant it being a good card or even being playable. The fact that you only get the shield or the soul charge on intercepting kind of hurts, especially with stuff like Buff Sagra still running around that specifically wipes out the front row. So you really have no way to keep this on board if you face something like that, right? Then assuming you play something else, you can only use this if you go if you play this out either going first, or I guess you can call this out on grade 2, push your opponent, and then intercept with it for 10k shield, which is like, okay. And the soul charge is like, fine. The fact that it's mandatory kind of does suck, right? Because there are maybe some times where maybe I don't want a soul charge just to get 5k shield, which I guess they might use that as like a cost. But and then the 5k shield, especially considering I'm intercepting, right? It's not really a lot, right? I would have liked this to have been something more useful, like especially in like barrel. Some cards that like can soul charge defensively. We have some of those, but no, I mean, not really. We have some cards that when you guard, they go into soul and stuff like that. More of those would be nice, but more of those that actually give you either a lot more shield or just a lot more useful would be really nice, right? So this is like cute and all, but not super good. Then we have this card here, who again fits that theme that I mentioned earlier about the like Nova Grapplers and like wrestling and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really cool, and again hoping that they explore that. But this is the Techno Mech Pharaoh. So this is a grade 2. This is our first rare that we're looking at, and this just says when this is retired from rear during your battle phase, if you have 2 or more set orders that were put into drop from the order zone this turn, you Energy Blast 3, choose a back row rear guard, stand it, and it cannot attack until the end of that turn. So already kind of asking a lot. So first of all, this unit has to be retired from rear during the battle phase, right? So that basically means you pay a cost to retire it, or I'm pretty sure it counts if you overcall, but it has to be specifically during battle. Then, if 2, not 1, but 2 of your set orders were put into drop from the order zone this turn, then you can play a cost. So you have 2 requirements, then a cost, to get the benefit of just restanding one of your back row rear guards, and it can't attack this turn. Honestly, they could have restood a front row rear guard, and I don't think that this would have seen play. I don't know what specifically puts set orders from order zone. Oh no, I'm sorry. That were put into drop from the order zone. Other than Gravidia, right? So presumably this is Gravidia support, specifically Gravidia Mask, which that deck needs so much help, and this is really not it. Because presumably you would attack with this, then swing a Gravidia Mask, send meteors to drop. For every 2 meteors, you get to call from hand. So you would overcall this while sending 2 or more meteors to then activate the effect, to then pay the cost to Energy Blast 3 to essentially restand the booster that you use to boost this unit. Which is like, okay, like, first of all, Gravidia has so many other better ways to spend Energy Blast. They're not even that good, but they're way better, right? She'd rather use Energy Blast 3 on anything else, honestly. If this was Soul Blast 1, maybe this would have been like decent, but Energy Blast 3 is like way steep, right? Second of all, I don't know if there's really anything good that you want to constantly boost with that's worth paying this, going through all these hoops. So not super great. The other thing I don't like about these cards is that, like I've talked about this wrestling theme, if they were to make a deck, there's like nothing to tie these cards together other than their art, right? So all of these older cards would just be irrelevant if they were to make that deck. Then the last card we have here is the Bombing Juggler, right? Really cool card here for Bladmire that I was really excited to find out about what its effect did, especially watching the anime episode, because it looked really cool. I like these like juggling kind of cards, right? They look super cool. If it wasn't obvious, this entire list is very subjective, right? But Bombing Juggler is a grade 3 that just says if your bind zone has 4 or more face down cards. Currently, I think Bladmire is the only deck that can have face down cards in your bind zone, aside from against you fighting against a Bladmire. Then this causes reduced by Energy Blast 2. Otherwise, when this attacks, you Energy Blast 2 if you have Bladmire, and this gets 10k to the end of that battle, and at the end of the battle, you put this to Soul. Then, when this is put into Soul by card's ability, if you have Bladmire, you can bind it face down, choose one of your rear guards, and it gets 5k. But if your bind zone has 8 or more, it becomes 10k instead of 5k. So in theory, this isn't half bad. Yeah, but it's kind of not good. There's already a card. Literally, Bladmire already has a card that doesn't have any cost to get 10k and is a grade 3, right? We have the Colossus that literally already does this stuff. It just binds itself. It gets 10k, and at the end of that battle, it binds itself. So same thing. The only difference is that this says may put this into Soul, whereas I think the Colossus, you have to put it to Soul as part of the cost for getting the 10k. This one could technically be free every single turn. You can have a 23k attacker. If you have, 4 more bound face down, you don't have to pay the Energy Blast cost, right? Then it says when it goes into ability, if you have a Bladmire, you bind it face down. Same thing the Colossus does, except the Colossus lets you draw 1. This gives something 5 or 10k. Is that super good? I mean, technically that's good for Bladmire, right? Technically that's good for Bladmire because you can restand with the Invoke Alchemist. So given your restander 10k, you do have a unit that gets a crit as well, right? So this is technically good. Is it super good? I don't know. I don't feel like it's very good. I feel like the art looks really cool, but I don't think this card is very good. But like I said, there wasn't really anything super bad in this set, so maybe not the best set to start this type of video on, but I'll see if I can do this for the upcoming sets and maybe some of the sets in the past. But in any case, Let me know what you guys think about these cards or any cards that you thought were beautiful garbage in this set. Till next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and have yourselves a damn good one.